Morning, guys. First of all, just like to thank Cody, like I mentioned your name, for that comment. Made me relate a lot to what psychosis was like for me. I hope that video was informative for you guys. And yeah, it really is hard to tell your brain which is real and which is not real, and it's a process. Um, Update, pretty much acutely gone. I'm still suffering from a bit of pause. There's a few issues coming up with interpersonal relationships, which I often do in rehab. But yeah, nothing I can't handle. Pause brings its ugly head around every now and again, but it's getting less frequent, I believe. Like, you just got to maintain that sort of content and do exercises where you, I'm sleeping quite well at the moment. I'm dreaming a lot, and that's what this video is going to be about. It's going to be about dreams and early recovery and why they are so intense. So yeah, meditation really does work. Just focus on what you're grateful for, focus what you're sorry for, but don't dwell on it. And then, thank your higher power. And if you're not into God, the fact is, I believe it's not stupid, but ignorant to say that there is a God as it is to say there isn't. I'm a scientist. I believe in science, as you can see from my science videos. But there's still this aspect of faith that I'm fascinated in. And it's almost like I want this relationship with God, whatever it may be for me, to help me through my recovery, so that there's always someone there. So when something happens, I don't go inward, and I don't want to go and use. I want to get better through that relationship, knowing that something's there looking after me. And I've always known that, and I've always believed it was my conscience just giving me the right information. If I did the right thing by myself, I would be rewarded in some small way. So I believe the kingdom of God is in men and women. I believe it's a human condition. I don't believe that God created the universe. I don't believe any of that thing. I believe that us as humans have this amazing intrinsic nature to ourselves that was back when we were hunters and foragers. We had anxiety. We didn't have anxiety unless you were in front of a saber-toothed tiger, for instance. We knew everyone we saw. We knew. So you were comfortable. You were not necessarily comfortable, but you were in a community-based thing. You didn't know what China looked like. You didn't know what Russia looked like. You wondered about these things. The imagination would have run wild. Can you imagine that? Being out in the tribe, and then all these stories, and stories just like the religious text, they weren't scientists, but they lived a very simple and happy existence because they had their families. They would have been in a bit of trouble sometimes, with maybe clashing with other tribes, especially in the movie Apocalypto, but that wasn't a clash. That was a massive, by the Mesopotamians, like a massive Mesoamericans, yeah, that was massive. That's a great film, by the way, Apocalypto. We should watch it. It's a fantastic imagery of that. Well done, Mel Gibson. So anyway, yeah, and then suddenly, so we're still hunters and foragers. I mean, we still got all those receptors in us. We still in our receptors in us. We still got pretty much the same evolution as they did back then. They were a lot more athletic because of their style. But right now, I believe that anxiety, depression, confusion exists because we have these, what I call the God concept inside us, that determines not predetermination or anything, but consciousness or conscience that is aware. When you're pregnant, you can sense. Sometimes you can just sense something and you don't know what it is. Someone's emotional capacity. And as I described in my telepathy video on acid, that's possible without hallucinogens. You sense something and you're not sure what it is, but I believe back in the day you would have known what it is. And that sensing of that thing makes confusion, which turns into anxiety, turns into depression. There's too much information going around these days, and it's really hard. That's why meditation is such an important part of this life we're in now. We're heading towards a much more globalization, a world full of globalization. You know, as I said, back in the day, they didn't know what China. They wondered what China looked like. They wondered all these things. Now we know. We see it on TV. I've never been to Russia, but I see it on TV. I've never been to China, but I see it on TV. I know all these names of Woolworths foods, like Doritos, like I know all this information that doesn't mean anything. It's a made-up society. It's a made-up philosophy. Like, think about a Martian coming down and looking at the way we live. Like, we have all this unnecessary. Society is a game. It's like Monopoly, if that makes sense. Like, take away economy. What is economy? What is worth resources? Resources are the only thing that I'm not saying they're worth money. I'm saying that they need to be sustained for the planet. Every individual on this planet can be sustained, which is the ridiculous thing. But then we brought out this thing called wealth and capitalism, and then obviously the greedy grabbed it, and now we have a situation where the very top 6 companies own the world. They influence government, they influence everything. Look at Australia, we're about to dump sludge in the Barrier Reef. You know, look at America crumbling in from the inside. This system isn't working, and it needs to be torn down and started again. Because, like, the very aspect of monetary gain and monetary trade isn't working. Consumables, a laptop that is designed to be made for 2 years, you know, so that they need to go and buy another one. That is so devastating on the planet. It goes into landfill. Things like, there's scientists out there that are told to make something last a certain amount of time. Consumables. You know? Like, we're just destroying this planet. Free trade is not working. Well, not free trade, sorry, but capitalism. The pursuit and consumerism isn't working. We're filling our heads with this nonsense. And it's easy to get away from it on a personal level. It really is. I mean, not easy, sorry. Why did I say that? It's difficult at first, but just because when I was younger, I was destroyed by it, especially after I took acid. Like, I looked at adverts and I just said, why are we doing this to ourselves? Why do we live such a, like, ignorant, like, existence? Like, and people don't want to talk about this shit. Like, it's all a construct. Honors that people are given, the Nobel Prize, they're just fucking honors. The real work, the real support, the real love, the real spiritual nature of things is where things come from. It's where the passion comes from for other scientists to follow them, the passion for other believers to follow them. We're here for each other, not for this fucking massive pharmaceutical giants, for the massive banking system, which is completely ridiculous. Just as he said, I don't care who creates the rules, who collects the laws, as long as I get to create the money. And the Rothschilds sent their sons into each different European countries to gain wealth and create a banking system because they knew that they could control. Just like they fund both sides of the war, it's all a corrupt game, people. And I'm sure you're already aware of this, but it can get me, like, really, really quite sick and passionate. Like, it's just when you wake up to it, you realise that the only thing you can do is work off it on a personal level. And yeah, that's what I try and do every day. I try and give back to the universe, or because I made a universe, I made of star stuff. Thanks, Carl Sagan. And when I die, I'll be converted into star stuff to make way for more people. You know, death isn't as I forget the philosopher's name, but he says, you know, death is an experience. It's nothing to be feared. It's a honourable experience because you're making way for more people. You know, we're not meant to live forever. If you live forever, what would be the point? Death is the point of life. Okay, so there's my rant over about the state of the world. Sorry, guys. But yeah, dreams and early recovery. It's a good sign when you start sleeping. I've experienced it last night. A lot of dreams, not necessarily nightmares, but dreams of adrenaline. Not adrenaline, sorry, just dreams that are can be quite confronting, can be quite active, can be quite full-on story and narrative, that sort of thing. And it's a good sign because dreams are memories converting from old to like it's archiving what you'll need to remember. So it's a good sign that your brain is starting to gain back that ability, especially if you've been on something like opiates. Opiates are the worst ones for it because you're in a state called the nod where you're in and out of consciousness, and it's